All right.
Oh man,
Not much, dude. How are you?
good. What kind of dog do you have?
Burner Doodle.
Burner Doodle.
Oh
We
yeah.
uh we got the regular burner.
Nice.
Yeah. Or I don't know. Is yours smart? Because mine isn't.
There's nothing smart about this thing. No.
Yeah.
They just don't shed.
Oh, I wish that was our case, man. Our
Yeah.
just constantly.
Yeah. No, so she's okay. She's like got a very she's a stage 5 clinger. So it's like it gives you no room to breathe. Like you're just trying to chill for a second. She's like in your face. I'm like, dude, enough. Um, But yeah, she's okay. She's smart enough not to. She finally stopped running through the electric fence. So
That's good.
yeah, yeah. So for a while, she was just like going and getting zapped, and she was cool with it. But so she was very not smart then. She's getting
Uh,
there.
we
We've
can't
always
win them all.
we had golden doodles before this one, so it was always I don't know. The no shedding thing is it's hard to go back to shedding after you've had a few that don't shed. So
Yeah, yeah. You're like, what the hell is this?
yeah.
Um, cool, man. Well, I just wanted to
Yeah.
yeah, just chat, kind of break down any of the deals that you've done. I know you've, primarily working with Justin on uh I don't know, everything operations related for, for his operation. So, I mean, tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about that, what you're up to, but then also kind of hear about the things that you've lent on successfully, any, red flags, what makes, some of the deals that come your way like a hard no or yes, definitely let's move forward.
Yeah.
Is it the deal itself, the finances, the terms that you're looking at, or more just kind of the personality that's on the other side. And then maybe we'll share some bad jokes or something.
Yeah. 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 Cool. No. So yeah, operations. Fun. Probably like a very long, boring conversation about actual operations. So I won't spend too much time on that. But yeah, the lending side of it is for me, probably, yeah, I think obviously it comes down to risk, right? And everyone's level of taking risk. I have come to find out that mine is concerningly large. How my risk level. I don't know why, but yeah, I'm like I'm okay taking risk, because I do understand that like larger risk, larger reward. And ultimately that's what I'm trying to get to is larger rewards. So I have to be able to take a little bit more risk. Now, I have 3 kids under 8 and a wife who's conservative and so like there's risk and then there's like being crazy.
Yeah.
So on both of
Is
those,
she aware of your risk appetite?
uh, no, no. But it's not like for me, it's a balancing game with that, which I know I'm now veering off on that, but I think is probably important for everyone. Like she's supportive of what I'm doing, but it's not going to help her mental health for me to come and say, "Hey, I just took 350,000 out of 350,000 and 150 of the dollars, for our retirement and put it into this real estate investment," right? Like as a conservative mother of 3, she's like, "Did you just give away everything that's been worked for?"
Yeah. And
And
rightfully
so
so.
right, rightfully so. But, so there's a balancing act of like how I'm telling her, right? And like let it like so for me, it was like proof of concept. So like the first ones that I did, I'm like, hey, I am doing this deal, which I'm gonna put more money, like this deal is gonna allow me to put money into our retirement. Right. I'm not saying, hey, I'm taking out 350 or hey, I'm taking out 190. I'm going to go risk our retirement. I'm saying, hey, I'm going to do this deal and it's going to bring me X amount of money for the retirement. So,
Mhm.
there is a little bit of that game to play even internally to have those because like I don't want her to freak out. I don't want her to like lose sleep over this stuff. And just because I'm willing to take a risk, and go and get something that's really going to benefit us, that not going to help her psyche and her like stress of being a busy mom or working mom and like making sure that we're stable, right?
Yeah.
So, it is a play on words, but at the end of the day, like the first one I ever did, I'll just share, I'll go into that was 190. But like at the end of the day, I came and was like, hey, I just put $27,000 into our retirement account. Like, okay, that's a much cooler story than like, hey, I'm gonna go risk 190 on a land deal in Florida. Are you comfortable with that? Like, I
Yeah.
know what the answer is. You're a
Yeah. So it's
conservative
almost
mother. It's no.
so,
So
so
like,
you didn't even tell her the 190 was gone until you came back with an additional 27.
right, right, right. But now I'm proof of concept, right?
Yeah.
Now I can say, this is what I'm working on and this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Now, yes, she's like, that's pretty dope. I'm like, yeah, that is, you know what, that is pretty dope. So my first deal was 190K on a 50 acres in Florida. And it was actually brought in as equity on the deal. And originally the equity was like gonna be a smashing home run. Um, and then there was an easement issue which drove away all of the developers who were going to take the 50 acres and break it into 510s,
Hmm.
right? And then the 510s were going to be sold individually and it was going to be like amazing. Well, once that easement became very expensive, it like all the developers were like, it's just not worth us for us to spend $500,000 on an easement before we even get to doing anything at the property. So then it was transitioned to like, all right, we're going to sell it as a 50 acres recreationally. So like the equity was a lot tighter. Now, I say like, I tell that story because for me the most important thing in all of that was I actually didn't care about the deal. Yeah, was I involved? That I'm like dang like selling five 10 parcels 10 acre parcels, the upside really cool. I'm now not getting that bummer, but for me it was like who I was doing it with, right?
Yeah.
And it was Rhea Campbell, who's, like an absolute monster. So it's like, yeah, now I built a personal relationship with her and now I was able to do business with her. And I knew, I didn't care when she was like, hey, this isn't working out as we thought, and um, we have to try to just sell it to a recreational, somebody wants to go hunting and four-wheeling, right? Like
Yeah.
the upside of that is a lot smaller. But I didn't care because I knew one, she was really good at what she does. Two, worst case scenario, she was like, I'll just pay you out of like she has the money, right? Like she didn't even need to bring me in probably. But she's doing it because it's other people's money. It's the game of winning with friends and like giving me the opportunity. So I say all that really to just come back to like my first aspect of lending money is like I better like almost love you. You know what I mean? Like that's for me, like I'm more concerned with the person and the operator than I am the deal. I actually have never underwritten any deal that I've lent on. Okay, not advisable probably,
Yeah.
but the reason is because the people that I'm lending to I trust wholeheartedly.
Yeah. No,
And
I get that completely. You know, you're kind of going back to, when you talk about you don't even care about the deal, you don't even want to. I mean, you want it to work out, but it is
yeah,
very much.
disclaimer if you're listening, underwrite your deals. But yeah, yeah,
But you want it to be, like you want the story, you want the proof of concept for your wife, for your friends,
yeah,
because when you
yeah.
go out there and you can say, if you're trying to raise money, like I deal with this often, it's like, I don't want to go to my friends and family right now. I want them to see what I'm doing in,
Hmm.
in a few years when they say, "Hey, are you still chomping away at that?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I've done, 100 deals. They're like, "Oh, maybe, you're not as crazy as we thought, or maybe like that's why you've been, locked up in your room for, months on end."
Hmm.
And it is, yeah, just like having that proof there, so they get,
Yeah, no,
get
yeah,
behind you.
absolutely.
Um,
And I feel the same way too with friends. It's like I actually don't. You're right. I don't want to go to them. I want to go to them when I actually don't need their money anymore. Like, could we use it getting started? Like, yeah, I would love for people closest to me to buy in. But they are also like sometimes the ones that are like, you're acting crazy right now.
Yeah,
Like
because I mean,
really
you've been doing real estate for, I mean, what, just like a year and a half or so?
yeah, coming up on 2 years. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, same with me in that, you go to a friend or a family member and you're like, "Hey, I'm doing this thing." They're like, "That's not what you went to school for. That's not what you did for, 15 years out of school.
yeah,
Is this like a passing fad?" So it's nice to build up um, that reserve of stories of successes to go back and actually say like, "No, this is what I've done. Like,
yeah.
we're good."
Absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And that's really it. Yeah. Cause all my friends would be like, dude, didn't you try doing Amazon FBA? It's like, yeah, I fell for it, like everybody did, so it's like, yeah, no, that's really what it is. And it's, yeah, at the end of the day, for me, it's like, I want to do business with people that I like, that I trust. Um, and for me, just my own personalities, I like to be transactional. I don't want to sit here and sweat over the deal. You know what I mean? I'm like, you come to me, like you specifically, you come to me like, dude, I got this deal I'm gonna lend on. Be like, there would be something broken, I feel like in the friendship if you were bringing me some shit deal that I would have to be worried about. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
it's like if I'm getting approached by, our small circle of people like Ria, it's like you're only approaching me because you are like, this is my guy, and like I know he's got it, and we're good. And like I get that call, I'm like, yeah, send me the wiring instructions. When does it need to be out? Like I just did one with Rhea was first position. She called me and she's like, hey, second position backed out. I'm first position. Like I got this. Do you want to just jump in that second position? I'm like, sure. Where do you want it? And she's like, all right, well, whatever. I got the wiring. I sent the wire in. She's like, she's like, it wasn't even due till like next. I haven't even sent in the first position wire. I'm like, I don't do. You just called me and told me like this is what we're doing.
You told me to do the
I,
thing and I did the
yeah,
thing.
I'm like, if you want, like, I'm not quite, I don't quite, not questioning it. Like, so that's how I roll personally. Not everybody's going to do that. Not everybody might have that relationship. What I would say is like you need to go make that relationship because you need to be around people that you trust that much in this game. And I will get bit in the ass. I know that, but like I'm also like a dumb little boy still, and like I have to touch the hot pot when I was told it was hot. Um,
Yeah.
so
No, and I think, you're talking about inner circles and how important it is to have those like trusted people that you work with. And, I consider you one of those, and we've
yeah,
been involved in the same deals. And it was part of that very, very tight group where it's like, hey, we got to make this thing happen, like the main deal. And it's like,
yeah,
need to make this happen. Who is going to come in? You step up like, at the last minute, say, "Hey, I can take care of this to hold us over for, the next 30 or 60 days, whatever it was." But then you had to pull funds out of a different job or a different project in order to cover Maine. And so then it was like, all right, we have this gap over here that Andrew's now out of. And, we look around and I just said, done. Like, I'm in.
yeah,
I'll fill that so Andrew can
yeah,
take care of this. It's like this kind of, shell game, if you will.
right.
And there
Yeah,
was there
absolutely.
was trust all around. I'm like, look, I know the operators. I know everybody involved here. This is hopefully going to go very well. But if we run into some hiccups, I trust everybody completely to work their tails off to make it right.
Right. And I know all the houses you own, so I'll just go take collateral on one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's really all it is, right? It's I'm sure there are people who will like listen to this and say like, like it gives them the cringes of like, that's how like, but at the end of the day, it's like, I'm not out there, like, I'm not a massive lending company, lending to any Joe Schmo, who's got a deal. Like, I'm not a hard money lender. I'm not like, I don't have these super strict. Now, yeah, do I have like loan terms and have expectations of like documents back to me? Yeah, of course. Like, but that's all like, again, those are things that, are just expected, um, with I mean, they have to happen with a transaction. So it's like, of course, yeah, I get the promissory note, I get the mortgage, on these lends, and then it's like, yeah, kind of, let's go.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we're pretty similar. Actually, I don't know how many different people that you've lent with, but I imagine that circle is pretty darn small.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Wicked small. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm the same way, and I see a lot of people, and not to say that it's the wrong way to do it. It's probably, could be a better way, but they'll go out and they'll underwrite so many different deals from so many different operators, and you know that takes a ton of work to do that vetting, to make sure that the people that you're working with are trustworthy, to go out on a limb, to do all these things to ensure that your money is going to be safe and that you're, with trustworthy people. And I did the exact opposite. Like I spent like a very, very long time building friendships with people to like when I first lent with Justin, I mean, I had known the guy for I think over a year at that point. And
Hmm.
it was not to say that I was like vetting him for a year, but we were building that relationship. So when an opportunity came up and he's like, "Hey, this is what I'm looking at," it was it was kind of a no-brainer. It was like, yeah, I went through all the numbers, we did the underwriting, we had, multiple meetings with him and the other partners, but like in the back of my head, I was like, I'm going to do this because one, I like the deal, but also I like the relationship and that relationship will continue to build.
Yeah.
Um, and I probably won't go out of the, excuse me, at least for the foreseeable future, like the, 3, 4, 5 people that I work with, um, just because, it takes that time to build the trust.
No, absolutely. Yeah. No, I've lent to two or three. I mean, like the main deal, right? So it's small group of people, but it's really, you know, yeah. But it's like, do I consider that lending to four people or just the one project? But ultimately, it was like, Justin and the group that I was like down with. But then there was Rhea. Like that's it. Like even
Yeah.
the third deal that I did with Rhea actually wasn't her project, but the only reason I did it is because Rhea's like, I'm backing this. Okay,
Yeah. So you
fine.
have that personal guarantee
Yeah,
more or
like the
less
guy
from
who had
her.
the guy with the project wanted to set up a call, and I'm like, dude, I'm good because like I'm not lending to you. I'm not
Yeah.
lending because of you. So there's not going to be a whole lot that you say to me, like the only thing you're going to do is maybe ruin it for me. So like, like let's not even he's a great guy. I really have only had a conversation with him once or twice, but it was like Rhea came and said, I need like this is an opportunity. I'm in it. I'm like, she was so thorough. I'm like, you're in it? I'm in. You're in,
Yeah,
I'm in.
it's
And
nice to
that's
have
it.
those people that you kind of trust completely.
Yeah.
And I have this like in a number of different areas in my life, like, and not that I want to get lazy with lending, but in other things like, I was looking for a TV a few years ago, and I've never purchased a TV in my life. Uh, and I was just started looking at all the specs, and I was like, I don't know what to get. And then I called a buddy of mine who like this is his world.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, what type of TV should I get? And he starts like breaking down everything. And I was like, just like, is this a good one? He's like, that's an amazing one. I was like, that's it. I don't need to know anything else more
Yeah.
details.
Right.
I want to
Right.
spend
Right.
5 minutes with you because I know you've spent 100 hours
Yeah,
doing all the
exactly.
research on, TVs or healthcare or fitness or whatever. Be like,
Right.
have your go-to people who you can just like ride the
Yes.
coattails.
Right.
Yeah, the cheat sheet.
No, and listen, if it came down to it, like where I'd start, like where I develop maybe a lending business, sure, I'll put these practices in place. But like right now, it's I do all my stuff out of a self-directed IRA, so it's not pocket money. It's, when I'm 59 and a half money, so
Yeah.
like a lot of years away. So I'm not overly concerned with like, what is my monthly return? Like I don't even care about monthly returns because like, what does that matter to me? It's going back into the account that I'm not touching anyway. Might as well just hold it, make the project more successful, and give me the number at the end. Like just give me in a lump sum because I don't need, like, it doesn't matter to me, right? So like that's also my lending strategy, right? Is to do that. It's like, hey, here's my lump sum, give me one lump sum back too. Like, right? Hopefully it
Yeah.
makes a project more successful. All right, people aren't, it helps with holding costs, so I think it ultimately would make a better deal too. So
Yeah. So I know I've never gotten really deep into the self-directed, just because I know that's kind of your wheelhouse. So I would just call you and ask you. But
yeah,
tell me more about that. Because so you can pull money out, or one, like, how you got started in it. And I know you've done workshops
yeah,
and whatnot,
yeah.
but
So it was I left my W-2 last Thanksgiving was my last day at company I was at for 13 years. Um, and I built up a nice 401k, right? I maxed it out. Like what company contribution and my contribution. That was one thing somebody told me when I was young. They're like, just max that thing out.
yeah.
So I did, and I was able to grow it pretty nice. And then once I left that job, I had listened to a bunch of people about self-directeds and rolling over and whatever, and then finally I was just like, man, I want like to be involved in more than I am, right? And I left corporate America. I was starting doing this real estate, so I was very conscious of like, I was hesitant or a little scared to spend too much of like my current checking or pocket money, right? Because I'm like, I don't have a steady income at the moment. So like I need to protect that money. So I'm like, to throw some of that into some deals for me was I was a little hesitant to do that. And then I finally was like, man, let me look into this self-directed stuff. And I did my research and went to a bunch of companies, and finally found one that I liked. And we hopped on the phone and called Fidelity, rolled over the money to a self-directed, what they call checkbook control. And now that money just sits literally in like a checking account.
Okay.
And I have full access to do with it whatever I want. Like legitimately, if I was a complete POS, I could just go like put a pool in. Like no one's stopping me from taking that money. Like when my money was at Fidelity, I actually didn't even know like how to access it.
You knew you had something saved up, but it
Like
was
it was there, but like I couldn't, like I would have had to call people and like go through all these steps to be like, is this available to me, or like what's happening? Hey, I'm in a crisis. I want to draw from there for whatever reason. Sure, penalize me out the butt, whatever. But like didn't even know how to do it. Now
yeah.
this money is like literally sitting in a checking account. I'm like, new car, new pool. Like if I was super irresponsible, nobody's stopping me. The IRS would come and beat me over the head because they would eventually find out.
Right.
So that's what I really like about it, because there's no one now stopping me from accessing that money but myself. Right. So now when I do a lend, it's like, hey, you guys called on Tuesday. Hey, we need this, nice chunk for to gap fund Maine. I'm like, okay, boom. I just log in, send, and like I send it. It's done. It's literally like no one's underwriting the deal. There's no custodial to like approve or not approve it. It's truly checkbook control. And now I am in charge of what my retirement looks like, and I like that a lot better because I played in stocks. Ew. Like I don't have the bandwidth or like that mental capacity of doing that is not like aligned with me. There's not enough passion behind it for me to do enough work to be good at it,
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, let me start doing that. So I rolled it over and now I lend out of that. So I lend like to Maine. And then when that money came back, it goes right back into the account with the interest on it, So
Yeah, so
um,
there's no you're not taking draws from that at all. Like anything that goes out, you're taking that back directly back into the self-directed along with whatever was made on top of it.
Yeah, so it's all currently still pre-tax money. So anything that goes out, it's got to go right back in. And then it sits there tax free. Like, yeah, well, I pay taxes on it eventually, yes, but right now I'm growing it tax free, and
And is
I
there any time limit that it needs to
no,
be
no. So
back?
that's what's really great. I can do any type of loan I want. Like I'm the bank. I am the bank of that checking account or of that money. So now I dictate the terms, just like you would go to any other bank and say, hey, I need $50,000 personal loan. That bank is going to say, well, based on X, Y, and Z, here are the terms that we can deliver to you.
Right.
When I'm lending on a deal, I'm saying, well, based on X, Y, and Z, these are the terms that I'm going to lend on, right? And whether it's like short term or we're doing a flat rate or I'm doing an annualized, 12-month term with a minimum of 6 months. So like I'm now creating the terms. I'm writing that in a loan term sheet. I send it off to title, and that's what gets put into like the promissory note and the mortgage is really to say, yeah, these are my terms. And then for it, all I do is I take that promissory note and I upload it to my portal that I have through this company. And if IRS ever comes knocking, I have all my promissory notes like uploaded, and then that company, deals with the conversations with them about it. So,
Cool.
um,
So they do have some oversight, or at least some guidelines in place to help out if necessary.
yeah, right. And they tell you what you can and can't do, right? Or, like
So don't go buy the new pool, the new
they
car.
tell you what you shouldn't do. So I should rephrase that. They don't tell you what you can't do because you can do whatever the hell you want, but they tell you what you should and shouldn't do, if you don't want to have to deal with all these other issues.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's really it. And now I have access to funds that like, I did $350,000 on the main deal. Like I would have never thought that that was even a possibility where I could come in and be that guy,
Yeah.
and that's what was cool is it like I spent all that time and money like building up that account, and now I was just like going to sit there, if I didn't know about this strategy, and like now I'm like, hey, like I built that account up. Now I get to utilize it to get me into deals that I didn't think I even belonged in. I didn't think I was allowed to be a part of those because I wasn't as experienced yet, and I wasn't heavy like liquid, and I thought everybody that always did these massive deals were always just super liquid, rich ass people,
Yeah.
and what I found out was that like, oh no, like I'm just wasn't leveraging everything that I had available to me, right? And um yeah, now it's cool and like and it's given me instant credibility. People find out that like, you do something like that and nobody necessarily even asked, like, was that like self-directed money or was that money like they're just like, dang, dude, you lent out that money, and now it kind of like it gave me the confidence and stature to be like, oh, I'm kind of like, doing some cool shit, that people look at and are like, dang, that's respectable,
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. It had to have opened up so many more opportunities, much of which you probably turned down. But I
Uh,
I
like
imagine,
one, yeah, dude, one post went out in the community and it was like all these people are like, "Oh, this deal, that deal." I'm like, "Stop! I don't even know you." Like,
yeah.
no, I don't, please stop it.
Yeah, it's interesting when that happens, and you say one thing, you show kind of like proof of concept, talk about what you did, and then all of a sudden, not that you become like the subject matter expert, but people think like, oh, you've done that thing. I want to talk to you immediately.
Yeah,
And if you have, $350,000,
yeah, let's talk.
they're like,
Yeah,
hey, I have this really, really cool thing that you should be a part of. You're like, no.
yeah, right. It's like, yeah, no, I can't. Wish I can't. I don't have the bandwidth right now to underwrite on top of everything else that we're doing, like my own PML deals. And that's why I'm pretty strict with who I send it to, because I'm like, I also recognize my time is like, I can't spend 2 whole days underwriting a possible lending opportunity because I have all this other stuff that's still going on in the business,
Yeah.
that I have to take care of. So like, I for me, that's why it's super important on the relationships and the operator of a deal, because I'm just like, give me an opportunity, take the money, do your thing, let me know when it's back, so I can tell the other people that it's back and we can do a deal.
Yeah.
Like that's how I operate my lending, is just like take it, do the thing, bring it back.
No, I love that. It's just it's not active, you know. So it was just this chunk that's sitting there. You have your system set up, you have your proven people that you want to work with. So
Yeah.
you continue on with, the day job with the whole
Yep.
team out there. And then when these come in, it's like, cool, this is going to be out a month, 2 months, whatever it is, but I know I'm going to get a return. And then we just rinse and repeat.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's awesome. So what are the biggest red flags as things have come across your desk? You make an announcement that you just did the deal with Ria, did the main deal, anything else, and like you said, you get flooded with opportunities.
Yeah. I mean,
What's
my
the
thing,
what's the worst thing that's come your way?
it's just like hey, would you lend 200 at like 13% on this deal? It's like, that's, is that like, that's how you're approaching this? It's like, no. So like those ones are like red flags. It's like, I don't need to hear about this deal that you're not even sharing any other information about. It's like, I don't know, are you looking for like, would I, if I was your best, like, okay, maybe the one line you give me sounds like it could be something, but like, so it's people just being like, or I even love the ones where it's like I need $200 at this percent, and everyone's like, where are the details? Like, what are you doing? So people that don't come with details or a pack, it's just like, enough. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna lend on you. Or people who are always like, hey, I'm doing this. Like, let's build a relationship, and like, so like you feel comfortable lending it to me. I'm like, no, that's not how relationships are built. You know what I mean? Like, like it's got to be organic. I don't know how to like pretend to build relationships. I'm just like, if it happens organically, it will. And if it doesn't, then it wasn't meant to be, because like that's not how relationships are. Like, you're supposed to just naturally vibe together.
Yeah.
And if that's not happening, then I don't want to do it, because I don't not gonna force myself into a friendship so I can eventually lend on it, because now I'm like, who is this person really? Like, we just were forcing this friendship. So
Yeah,
yeah,
especially if you're forcing that friend, or the friendship is being forced, and they know what they're after, right? Like they
yeah,
know that you have that money. So
right.
I think
Of
it's always
course.
like leaving you questioning a little bit what the intentions are, right?
Well, because they weren't there when, like, I had questions about things, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
They weren't reaching out and saying like, "Hey, really nice job on this stuff," like, "Hey, great job, like it looks like you're doing, you're really progressing. Like, I'm happy to see it." I'm like, even like little things like that, like if the first time you reach out is because you're trying to get money, it's not gonna happen.
gotcha.
So
So
that's
note
usually like the
note to
first.
self, I just need to compliment you every week, and then eventually
Not
people
even
can.
that, but it's like you're trying to. I get it. Sometimes it's hard to build relationships with people when everyone's spread out. So like, but like just genuinely being a great person and like showing interest in, me and my friends and what we're doing. Like, if like we notice when people are around and being supportive, and like Chris Geddes, I love the guy. He's always the best example. He's always like there being supportive. I told him at our recent workshop, I'm like, I can't wait for you to like put something out where I can like just come and support you, and like pay for something for you, and like be that same person that he's been to us, right? Like, that's a guy who, if he came to me and was like, do you want to lend on this deal? I would say, how much and where should I send it?
Yeah,
Because like he has put in so much time to be so supportive and a nice guy, and he's there for us, right? Like, those are the people. So if you see people who are constantly like around being supportive, those are the genuine relationships that get built, and they're built organically, not through a need or want for something.
yeah. I mean, it's funny you mentioned that. I just asked a question in the Facebook group this morning about a strategy, and he was the first person to reply.
Yeah, he
Chris
always
was
is. Yeah.
just like immediately was there. I didn't tag him or anything. He was just like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, here we go. So he's
Yep.
such a solid dude.
No, for sure. And that's like he's an example of the type of people that like I would lend to that I have not lent to. It's like because they're around, they're supportive, they're there, they're doing the thing. And it's like now we're friends, you know what I mean? And it's like cool.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's it. I mean, other red flags is just like shoddy information, um, you know, the smell of desperation, like those things are pretty easy to pick up on like how somebody is kind of handling it. Or it's like, hey, this person, I had a lender fall out. I'm like, yeah,
yeah. Last
okay.
minute, cool.
Yeah, like I get it's not always the operator or that the borrower's fault, but it's like, all right, why? Like now there's a red flag, whether it's your fault or not. Tell me why, we should remove that flag.
For sure. Um, nice, man. Well, I don't want to take up much more of your morning or afternoon there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, dude. Yeah, I gotta go vet a buyer um on a wholesale. It's like
nice.
a massive thing
Um,
now. Two deals that we wholesaled and the investors defaulting. So now I have a third, like obviously there's been a lot in between there, but it's in the same town. So I'm like, it couldn't have come at a better time. So I'm like, all right, let me revamp my vetting process. So now I'm like, dude, I need you on a Zoom. I need to see who you are, what you are, deals you've done. Like, show me because like now I'm potentially wholesaling out a VA loan. I'm like, I'm not going to go through what I'm going through trying to help out this other person. So,
yeah,
like this original seller who's back in out of foreclosure, got him out, did the thing for him. Investors failing. Now we need to get them back out of trouble again. I'm like,
yep.
and that was a $0 assignment, and now I'm still here working the thing. So it's like
Good times.
now my vetting SOP is getting tough now.
Nice. Well, good luck with that. And yeah, man,
Like,
appreciate it. I'll talk to you later.
all right, brother, take it easy.
Bye.